Okay, so today we're going to learn about the interview process and resumes and big mistakes that we see. And we have another lovely lady from Equinox, and we have
Cassie Kipper.
Cassie. And so from start to finish, if someone were to pass an exam or certification and they start making their resume, you receive those.
Correct.
And so what entices you to give someone a call back?
To start off with, I will call anybody who comes in with a certification, whether they have experience or not, whether they come highly recommended or not. It does not make any difference to me. I will at least call you and find out more about you, because something that I have found in the 6 years of interviewing I've done is someone can have a trash resume and be a fantastic trainer. Vice versa, they could have a huge resume, lots of experience, lots of certifications, and be horrendous. So I'll call and talk to you and find out what you're all about and what you're interested in, no matter what.
Nice. So it doesn't matter if you're NASM, NSCA. Have you found that maybe there's a certification where you see that and you recognize that maybe this would be a better trainer, whether if it's a degree or a diploma or something along those lines?
Honestly, no. And we have our list of accepted certifications that are nationally recognized, but in general, as long as you have the certification, you know.
Now, who makes that list? Do you make that list?
No, Equinox does make that list,
Okay,
so it is.
You got the big head honcho, and the CEO comes down and says, "This is who's been giving me a lot of money, and we're accepting him, sir." No.
Well, I mean, I'm sure there's some of that in there. There are certain ones that we see come up that show that this person has put in a little bit more, or, you know, for example, CSCS, you have to have a degree. So that tells me that at least you're interested in pursuing the education to go through and get that. When I see someone that has a strong first certification on there, I know that that means they're pretty serious about what they're doing. So there are certainly certifications that speak louder than others, but I know that whether you have NSCA or AFA, it does not mean you're going to be a great or less great trainer. It just means you have
Give it a shot.
Absolutely.
So I've done all the resumes, and I just got one the other day. A guy sent me to my email, not even in proper format. It's what his experience. And at the end, this would just piss me off. Maybe you would call them pictures. They would post pictures of shirtless pictures. I was like, dude, I don't want to see you with your shirt. It's a girl, it's one thing, but it's a guy. No, but I get pictures a lot. You're going to still give him a call.
Yes.
She's an angel. She's a sweetheart. So okay.
You know, this is a newer thing, and being in California, I see that more than I did when I was interviewing in Chicago. But you know, to be honest and fair to those people, it is a very aesthetic industry, and so you know, it does kind of matter in some people's eyes. They're not going to hire a trainer who doesn't look the part. So while we don't necessarily say that that's an important factor in terms of hiring, I don't judge someone for including it. So
That's great. No, that's awesome. So if you like them, you call them. They're going to pass, and they say, "Okay, I'm going to meet." We're going to have an open interview, or because I know a lot of the first-time interviews at Equinox with a few different people.
Yeah.
Right?
So the way our interview process works, we work through a platform called Smart Recruiters. Everybody puts their information into that, and then it's filtered to whatever club someone is interested in. So if a club or if a resume comes through for Santa Monica, then we always start off with a phone interview. So that's just to touch on some of the basic things, make sure that if there were any holes in their application or in their resume, that I can ask questions just to make sure that they're qualified. Do you have a certification? If you're international, do you have a work visa? Are you going to be available for what we're looking for? Do you want full-time versus part-time? So it's really more of just like a first-level vetting process. If I think that they might be a good fit and they are qualified, then I'll invite them in and they meet with the 2 personal training managers and then often a senior manager or a senior trainer, just so that they can get some input from someone in the field as well.
So they pass that. Now they come in. What is the average size of these interviews?
We do one-on-one interview.
The first one's one-on-one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The first one is one-on-one. Based off of that interview, we have a couple of options. So there is an option to do a group interview, which would be anywhere from 3 to 12 trainers coming in. It usually includes multiple clubs, so we'll partner with one of our area clubs, and they go through 3 different exercises where we see how they interact. Are they willing to step up and introduce themselves first, or are they going to kind of sit back and watch everyone else and then go whenever they have to go? The second one is a form analysis, so we'll have one of the managers demonstrate a couple of exercises, and they go through queuing these exercises. And are really, again, just looking to see how are they interacting not only with the person who is their mock client, but with the other people who are also in the interview process. So are they pushing people out of the way to speak over someone else, or just being rude to other people, or are they working together and kind of partnering to make sure that the queuing is done correctly? And then they do a case study.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what are some of the questions that you ask in that, like the group interview? So I think you have your stereotypical, what are your strengths? Talk to me about a time when you've been frustrated with a client maybe. What are some of the questions that you like to ask?
So in the group interview, we don't ask a lot of individual questions, I will say. So the group interview, by that point, we've already asked all of those things. We have determined that you're going to be a good candidate, and this is for us to just see you in a practical setting interacting with other people.
Okay, so then let's backtrack one.
Yeah,
when you have that one-on-one, when you're trying to wean them out, what are some of the questions you ask then?
We ask a lot of what-if questions. So, one of them that we always ask is, what if we were to offer you the position right now? Because we've had a lot of instances where people have applied, we've offered them the position, and then they've turned it down on the spot. And so that doesn't always compute to what were you interested in the beginning.
So they come in, they're expecting to meet with you one-on-one. What do you look for attire-wise?
Professionalism.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
I can't wear a wife beater?
It's a gym, true. You're going to get to wear Lulu or Nike or whatever every day. You do not show up to an interview dressed like that. You show up professional, business casual, business professional.
So for guys, I always say this. I say suit, jacket, you don't really need to bring it, but if you want to, have a tie.
Sure.
I don't know what that is for a female. What does that mean?
Nice pants and a blouse, a skirt, something like that.
Pants and a blouse?
Yeah, sure.
A blouse and shirt?
Blouse and shirt.
Okay. So
nothing that is really tight or provocative or
cleavage?
No.
Okay.
There is a place for
I
that.
always like cleavage, but I guess that's
an
different.
interview. That's not an interview.
I've had girls ask these questions like, what about skirt size?
Sure. And again, it's an aesthetic industry, so we need to be able to tell that you look the part for sure, but it needs to be appropriate, because in the end, the number one thing that I'm looking for in hiring someone is professionalism, and that starts with our very first interaction. And if it looks like you are going to overly utilize your assets to build your business, that tells me something about you.
Don't look like a hooker.
Correct. And yes.
You can't say that, but I can. No?
Yes.
Okay, so then you ask some of those questions. What if? Maybe give me a couple other what if questions.
We'll ask questions about, in terms of resilience and how important that is. We'll ask, let's say, a month from now, 3 months from now, 6 months from now, things aren't going like you thought they would. You came in with a certain expectation about how easy it would be, or how quickly you would build a business, or how well you would integrate into the team. Let's say it's not going well. What are you going to do? And we want to see, are you going to, maybe I'll try something else, or no, I'm going to find out, I'm going to look for feedback, I'm going to find out what I could be doing better, I'm going to work on improving that, I'm going to try different methods to get there. It's more a matter of, are you going to just give up and say, sorry, this isn't working out, or are you going to keep trying?
At the end, you usually ask, like, any questions for me?
Always.
And I don't know, but I'd always like getting stimulated a little bit, like, challenge me a little bit, because it is an interview process where I want to work for you, but at the same time, it's going to be a fit for me. So, hypothetically, what would be some questions that you'd like them to ask you? And I know you don't want to hear about how much you're getting paid, vacation time. Can I do part-time? Can I do, what are some things you'd like to hear? What are some things maybe you don't like to hear?
Don't ask about part-time. But literally anything. If you want to know how much am I getting paid or how much vacation time am I getting, ask. Because the worst thing in the world is to start and then a month in, ask those questions and realize this isn't going to work out.
Okay.
You need to know that stuff going into it. It's important that you've done some research. So in our initial conversations with people over email, we always send multiple links to videos, links to our education platform, all of that stuff, so that they can do some research before they ever speak with us, so that they have questions. A lot of those questions are going to be answered by doing your research, but if that stimulates further questions, or you want to know more about this, or how that's going to affect something else, ask those questions and be prepared. I hate for someone to say, nope, I have no questions. That's the worst. This is a very complicated process. It's a challenging position. It's an ever-evolving industry. There's no way you have no questions.
I think a lot of times the anxiety is all pent up, and then when you're like, okay, this is it, but do you have any questions? It's kind of like, okay, I'm done. No, I don't. I passed it. I got out of it. But it is good to ask questions to get you going. Can you recall a time maybe when a trainer asked you a really good question? You're like, that was thought-provoking, I want to bring this person back because of it?
Yes, I have a couple that I will throw in there. We always get questions about, how long we've been there, or, what do we like best about Equinox? Those things are great because we're not gonna lie to you. I mean, we do answer that question a lot, so we have kind of a predetermined response for it, but I love for people to ask me, like, what was the most challenging part about you building your business, or what do you face day to day that, really pushes you to have to try to be a better manager or a better trainer. So everybody's going to experience challenges no matter how good they are at their job. I think it's important to find out what types of challenges you might be facing and how other people overcome them. I think asking questions about management styles is important as well, because we work very closely. At times it can seem like micromanagement because there's a lot going on with a lot of people. If you have a particular style that works for you, find that out before you get into it.
Okay. And so then, past that, we're moving along. This isn't like a first interview one day, second interview. It takes some time.
It can.
Yeah.
It can.
So sometimes on a Friday, and you don't come in just waiting for interview people, so it's like you got a lot of stuff going on. So it may be 3-4 days, and I've talked to some students, and they'll be like, oh yeah, I haven't heard back from them. I'm like, be patient. Just because you haven't heard anything, they could be going through a lot. So generally speaking, if the interview goes well, what do you think that response time is usually like?
So I know that every club kind of handles this a little different. I can tell you from my standpoint, if I like what I'm hearing on the phone interview, if we are interested in moving forward because you are qualified, then I will schedule an in-person interview either on the spot or within 24 hours.
Okay.
After an in-person interview, if we need to see you again, so if there are still any questions, if we want to bring you into a group interview or bring you back in to do a practical where we watch you train just one-on-one with one of our senior trainers, I would say within 48 hours, and then a decision is made within 48 hours after that.
Hypothetically, could you just ace that first interview and you're like, I was just so wowed, you're ready to go?
Yes.
Ooh.
Now, we will still make sure that I maybe twice offered someone on the spot. With a management team, we want to make sure that we're all on the same page and that if anybody has concerns, we are all aware of that before bringing someone in, because we do spend a lot of time together. So we'll still meet and kind of talk about it, but I have called people the same day to offer them their positions.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
And then now they are brought on, and they don't just come into a booklet of clients.
No.
So they have to go through EQPTI?
EFTI. Yes.
EFTI. So that is a how long is that?
So EFTI is a 12-week program to move up from Tier 1 to Tier 2. It's a 6-week program to move up from Tier 2 to Tier 3. That happens not before you start training, it happens simultaneously. So you could come in, go through your initial onboarding or training process, then start training clients, working your floor shifts, all of that, and then when EFTI starts, that adds addition on.
So there's blocks when that starts?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we have to start groups of people together.
Okay, and so hypothetically, what's the fastest you can move up to like a Tier 3 training? And that's the discrepancy and I'm not quite sure, but like 22 per session when you're training versus like 38 per session, is that kind of rough?
Ooh, it's tricky.
Okay.
It's tricky to answer because it not only depends on your tier, but if you are full-time or not full-time. Generally, if you've made it to Tier 3, you're a full-time trainer.
Okay.
So that is closer to $40-50 per session.
Okay.
But it is somewhat dependent, yeah.
And you can get comps at the end of the quarter and month and all that fun stuff. And so trainers, I know that we like to be politically correct and we say that we want you just to be awesome, blah blah, but there's quotas. I mean
there is an expectation.
Expectation is
absolutely.
the politically correct way to say it. I'm the one saying hookers and stuff over
That's
here.
fine.
So there's expectations, and within that 90-day period, what are your expectations?
So when you come in, you have a 5-month ramping plan.
Okay,
So we allow 5 months. It takes some people 60 days, it takes some people 2 years, so everybody is different. But you get 5 months to build up. So initially we're asking that you get 15 sessions in your first month, and then 30, 45, 65, and then 95.
15 Equifits?
Sessions.
Sessions. So today I'm hired, my first day I get my 5 hours that I'm going to do today. I'm going to do 3 of those in the week, so 15 total. I need to start getting assessments. And so I get my first EquiFit 1, and then I bring them back in for the EquiFit 2. I don't really talk about sales much on the first one, do I?
Not much, no.
Second one, bring them in, wow them with a good demo, be personable, follow up with them. They sign up, first time they come in, session 1.
Yep.
And then 15 for a week or pay period?
For the month.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
for the whole month. So
Okay.
we do it by month. So really that equates to about 2 clients. So if you can pick up 2 clients out of that in the first month, then you're on pace.
Mm-hmm. And so it's a numbers game because,
It is.
hypothetically, if it takes me 12 contacts to talk to someone to get an assessment, and I don't know, do you guys have a rough idea of what your closing rate is when it comes to?
Exactly. I mean, and that's something that I stress with trainers, whether they're new trainers or senior trainers, that this is your business. This is your paycheck. This is how you buy groceries. This is how you feed your children. You need to know your business inside and out. So if I'm asking, what's your conversion rate? Or how many EquiFits did you do? Or how many EquiFits do you need to do to hit this number that you have said you want to hit? You need to know that information.
Big time.
And so I do know as a club what our conversion rate is, but then
what is
person
that?
by person. From an EquiFit, from an assessment into a new client, we average about 40%.
Okay.
Trainers usually start around 25% as new trainers, and then most of the time by the time they've reached tier 3 and they've done a few of them, they're usually around 50%.
Okay.
So
I remember there's a famous baseball quote by, I want to say, Ted Williams or Mickey Mantle, where he said, "We get paid a lot of money to fail." Where, because baseball players, if you're batting 300, that means you've gotten out 7 times. So as a new trainer, 25% of the time, if you have 10 clients come in, 100 clients, you're going to have 25 of them. So you're going to have a lot of people that go away. Now, I remember, this is one of the things that I would get frustrated with, the transactional mindset that the trainers have. They'd come in and say, here's the plan, you said you want to work with someone, it doesn't work, so they kind of go, okay, on to the next. And I wish what I would have seen more is keep them in the pipeline.
Right.
Follow up with them. Send them an email. Remember their birthday. Send them to talk with them in the gym. If you're there one day and you're not doing anything, and you see them, say, hey, guess what? I just had a client cancel. Want to work out together? And so get them engaged more. I mean, are there other little tricks like that you would suggest for trainers to get up to those 15 sessions, to get up to those next tiers?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, for Equinox, one of the main things is customer service. So whether they're your client or not your client, they need to be getting excellent customer service. And a lot of times that people will cycle back around just because they know that you're really passionate about what you're doing and they don't feel like a number. So usually nobody really says no just straight up. If they did, then you need to be able to self-reflect and say you really are the one that caused that to be a no. You didn't demonstrate value, maybe you made them uncomfortable, whatever it was, you didn't do the best you could have done in that. So self-reflect, and then maybe down the road you can give that another shot with them. Most of the time people say no, not right now, or no because of this. And so it's just a matter of, like you said, circling back around, staying in contact with them. If you knew they were working on something, check in. How's this going? Would you like to do a reassessment soon? Let's see how your progress has been. Just stay in contact with them, because even if it was a no today, 2 months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now, it may not be a no.
And one of the hard things of being in your shoes is there's 2 sides to every story, and I would play tricks on my trainers. I was kind of a dick where I would have my brothers and people come in and they didn't know this, and they would take them through an assessment. I'd say, here's an opportunity to sell them, and then I'll talk with the trainers how to go, and talk to me more about it, and they'd say, oh, they're really well, they're interested in training, blah, blah, I ask all these questions, and then I'll go to my brother, who would go through there and ask those questions to him, and he's like, they never asked about money, they never presented it in the way that I would have been interested, and so it's like there's this fear to talk about money, and when it's so easy with those cards. I remember I had like a card where you could just give people the booklet and be like, so how'd you like to work out? Maybe one day you want to train with me and have a good day. And so it's like they kind of pass it off and just say, look at this, versus, you told me you want to get in great shape by April 14th. And so that's roughly, 16 weeks away. Training with me 3-4 times a week at these times, it's going to help you get to where you want to be, where I'm going to systematically implement a plan that's going to help you get to where you want to be. How does that sound? And then you make the clients ponder that. And you just, I like the quote where it's 2 eyes, 2 ears, and 1 mouth. Use them in that order. Then just shut up and let them think. And if they say no, then you go, okay, so what's going through your mind right now? Why don't you want to get in the best shape of your life? And you can say that in a way where you're not being like, what do you mean you don't want to train with me? I mean, I think you can, what are some of the ways that you would suggest for a client to talk about money? Because it can be kind of fearful for a new trainer.
Yeah, trainers tend to think with their own wallets, and they usually during the sales process have massive word vomit. I mean, they talk the client out of training without the client ever speaking. So I think silence is really golden, and present this as a professional. People can tell when you're bullshitting them. So if someone really only needs 2 days a week with you and you're trying to sell them on 5 days a week, they can tell that you're out for your own best interest. So if you're coming to them saying, as my professional recommendation, based off of what we saw, based off of what we discussed, here's what I'm recommending. And you come with your plan laid out. So that doesn't mean that you're pulling it out of your butt on the spot, but you've already gone through and put together today's workout. You've laid out what an example of working with them for the month would be like. What assignments are you going to give them to work on outside of here? What are you doing with their nutrition, their stress, their sleep? Like, what is the program going to look for? They're paying a lot of money for you to promise them that they're going to get something out of this. If there's nothing tangible for that. So if you have that laid out for them and they can see what they're paying the money for, if you just explain that as a professional, here's what I am suggesting you need to do, and then shut up and let them talk, you're going to find out more about what they're thinking than if you say, we could start with 48 sessions at this price, but if that's too much, there's also a 24 session package, and if we still need to go down from there, there's also 12 and 6, but if you wanted to just do single sessions only 1 day a week, that's also an option. Well, of course they're going to go with the cheaper option. You need to just say what it is you're recommending for them, and then stop talking, because they will guide that conversation, and then you can kind of go from there.
I'm sure you can read body language, and it's something that you're going to get better with. And if someone's really reserved or if they're real agitated, it's being observant and being transparent. It sounds like just looking out for the client's best interest and not your own. And so we got resumes done, we got interviews. Is there anything else that you think you would just like to give out there to new trainers? And so that doesn't sound like certifications. It's that important to have the top tier one.
Right.
But just to make it presentable, show up, look in the parts, challenge your mind, be presentable, get there early. We live in LA, there's going to be traffic, get there an hour early. Anything else that really gets under your skin as in your position that you would like to get out there to help people who are going to be going through the process?
I cannot stress professionalism enough. It makes a big deal. Follow up with your initial conversation. In scheduling an interview to say, just confirming, here's our appointment time, is there anything you want me to prepare for? Show up with a resume, look the part, be on time or early. Expect that there are going to probably be things that pop up during the day, whether it be on your end or on the end of the management. So things are going to happen, be prepared to kind of work on the fly, but professionalism, huge. It's so huge.
It is. It's so important. And just my own curiosity, from where you first meet with them, when do you actually, because you have to take like photo pictures of like CPR and like certifications, when does that actually happen?
Generally when we offer someone a position, there's about a week lag time before they would actually start. All of our new hire paperwork is done digitally, so that can all be done from their home. We'll put them, as soon as they are offered the position and they're put into our system, it sends them an email, they can go ahead and get started on that. There's a background check, all of that stuff, and most of that can be done digitally before they even set foot in the club.
Okay. So they send you a picture of their cert and everything?
Yep, cert, CPR card, usually I-9 documents, things like that.
Right. Well, you're hearing from the boss lady right here. This is how you're going to be successful to get hired to start working at a wonderful company such as Equinox. Until next time.